Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. This time, talking about Eve of the Daleks. Ah, yes. Now, obviously, I've got a page and a half full of notes that I'll be bombing my way through, but obviously I need to say the same thing everybody's been saying at this point, which is Sea Devils. Oh, yeah. No, really. Yeah, Sea Devils. I mean, I've got a very soft spot for the Sea Devils. They were actually on the day I was born. Episode 2 of the Sea Devils. I was born just in time to see episode 2, where the Sea Devils turn up for the first time. And I'm a huge fan. Oh yeah. And if you are interested in a bit of research about what the background for the new Sea Devil story is going to be, then visit the You're Dead to Me podcast, where there is a nice, hour-long special on the pirate queen herself from China, and you'll be able to know all about her and act very smug about all the historical accuracies in order to know what you're talking about before you see her. Oh yeah, that's the kind of world we're at. We are indeed podcasters and Doctor Who fans, and we like to know exactly what we're going into so we can point out inaccuracies, and it spoils our lovely time. You all know that I suffer from anticipation when it comes to Doctor Who. It's my standard behaviour pattern, and that's the way things are. However, this time, you know what? I've got so used to not watching Doctor Who when it's on, I just assumed my Sky Q was going to record it for me, and it didn't. I didn't even bother checking to make sure it was recording. So I haven't actually seen it without a stupid logo in the corner of the screen. But you know what? I need to let that go. It's my fault. It is my fault. And it's fine. But you know what? Is that a sign that we're now used to just watching stuff not on broadcast, and we need to just kind of accept the fact that people are downloading stuff and watching it? Here's a few things. My wife, who I normally watch Doctor Who with in order for her to give me all of her best sarcastic lines, didn't really watch the last few episodes of Flux. She just couldn't take it anymore, but she had promised to watch the New Year special. My daughter, who, let's face it, hasn't really watched Doctor Who since I showed her Invasion of the Dinosaurs, when she was very small. I mean, she's aware of Doctor Who's the concepts, but it's just not for her, and that's fine. But when my wife was in hospital, in order to cheer me up, she did agree to watch one of the animated Troughtons with me. We watched one episode every day. And that was nice. That was her looking after me, and it was a sort of bonding thing. So she's aware of what Doctor Who is, very much so. You can't live with me and not be. However, she did, during the process of watching this story, say two things. Number one, why does the TARDIS look like a dead crystal spider on its back? That's, why does the TARDIS look like a dead crystal spider on its back? Go back and see the control room. Trust me, that's all you'll be able to see from now on. Her reaction was, oh, the Doctor's resetting the TARDIS. That's good. Maybe it'll look good this time. Yeah, she's 12 and she's saying stuff like an old Doctor Who fan pro. And the other thing that she said halfway through, not even halfway through, 10 minutes in. Oh, this time loop business. Oh, it's probably the TARDIS causing that. Me to her. No, that's too obvious. It must be something else. I don't think so, Dad. I just think it's the TARDIS. Obviously, she was right. And finally, her third statement made during the recording was, so when does the new bloke start? Yeah. Now she's 12 and she's asking questions that basically would set her up among the gods of podcasting and produce people to be able to rant and rave about fandom. But let's not go down that road. Let's not bother going down those particular backstreets. No, let's talk about Eve of the Daleks, because I quite liked it. Yes, it's Doctor Who does Groundhog Day, and most stories that have got time travel in, well, you know, we all have been there. But this story does have Aisling Bea, which she was superb. And if you are interested in her work, you can track down in America on Hulu, I believe, her own sitcom, which is called This Way Up. And you can also track it down on All 4, which I think has got 2 seasons. Obviously, you'll be familiar with her if you're a UK listener. And if you're American, well, you know, find out what she's on. Oh, she also says, oh my giddy aunt. And a lot of American people watching this or listening to this podcast will be going, oh, is that a Troughton reference? It's not. It's something that, well, your auntie would say is an exclamation mark. Perhaps it's Irish, perhaps it's just old school. Perhaps that's just the way things are. But it is definitely a phrase you would actually hear people say. So don't get caught up in that. Now, what have we got? We've got some new Daleks. We've got the same storyline, 5-6 times repeated, and the characters in it remember what's happening, which is nice. You've got a few flaws, and here's my first one, the main one for me. What are storage doors made from? Is it bonded polycarbide armour? Is it Dalekanium? Or is it my mum's aluminium? Because apparently, if you can build something out of my mum's aluminium shutters, then they are Dalek-proof, and the Dalek has to pump a lot of energy into it. Now, perhaps this new Dalek gun mainly affects biological matter and can only kill human beings or life forms, which means that the energy levels coming off this new gun don't really affect doors and walls and such half as much. They still have an effect, but it has to be cumulative. Or it's just a bit rubbish. Now, you can decide for yourself which one's your own personal headcanon on this one, because it's not really that important. Obviously, the storyline repeats itself and builds, and they manage to escape through a doorway in the basement, and then there's lots of fireworks. That's absolutely fine. This is the storyline that goes on. But obviously, we're not here for the storyline. We're here for the cool little nuggets that we can discuss. And the 2 things that we have to fixate on are Yasmin. Yeah, it's, well, Yasmin and the Doctor. Sticking their names together just doesn't work for me, but that's what everyone seems to be calling it. Olog, a companion, has a crush on the Doctor. Been there, done that. Watched every episode. Move on. Oh, look, we've got a female character of colour who has gay feelings in Doctor Who, approached in a different way this time. Works for me, plot-wise, not a problem. All of these things are not problems. They're just ways of moving on. It is really nice the way it's been done. But I love the way that John Bishop's character and Yasmin have got that friendship bond that just works. And although John's more, well, let's accept it, my generation, he will try and help. He'll try and help her out, deal with her own emotions and her own feelings. He can see what we can see as the audience. It's important. Yes, you've got an elderly white bloke who represents us, the old school Doctor Who fans. But he doesn't. He represents himself. He's a character. Oh, it's so exciting. The importance of representation in a narrative cannot be underestimated. If you see yourself on the screen, it can just help you cope with everything. So that's what's important. Yes, the storyline still consists of, human fancies alien, which is questionable. But the Doctor's the Doctor. People are always going to find them incredible, regardless of where you are on your own sexuality scale, if you want to call it that way. You're still going to like the Doctor regardless. But let's move on from that. The thing that a lot of people have got issues with is Stalker Boy. Yes, he's the only customer in the building. We've got questions about that one. We'll come back to that one. We've got Jeff, the other member of staff, who seems to be using the place as his own business and storeroom. Yeah, that's also questionable, but quite likely. And then we've got Stalker Boy, who's apparently bringing his ex-girlfriend's stuff to store. Is he really doing that, or had he created a lovely mental image where he was actually ending up playing Monopoly with Aisling's character in order to pass the time at New Year and then bond. Yes, he was leaning towards, and that's the world that the Doctor Who fans, the old school Doctor Who fans who are nerdy, who aren't good around people, will go for shy, not stalkery, but still seem to come across just a tad bit more stalkery than I'd like. Yes, we can live with that. So, is Stalker Guy actually cute? Does he actually have lots of ex-girlfriends? Or probably not. I'm kind of hoping not. And then they drive off in the cab that's from The Apprentice into the sunset, and then that's the end of things. Now, here's the thing for me. 2 ways this can go. We've got Aisling and Stalker Boy going off and we never see them again. Or we've got Aisling and Stalker Boy turning up in a Torchwood story for Big Finish, kind of what I'd like. Or we've just got Aisling getting rid of him, and then we've got her turning up in one of the Torchwood/Ace stories, because that's what we like. We like the universe all meshed together. What's the time period between the end of the story, them driving off together, and the TARDIS leaving? Does the Doctor actually try and help out? Now, the thing is, for me, as I've discussed in lots of podcasts lately, nothing happens on screen without there being a purpose. And the cutaway to the guy who was seen in an earlier episode watching the fireworks and implying that it was all for him just felt weird. We have to come back to that. Or it has to be a throwaway remark. The throwaway lines like, "I am not Nick," being shouted by Nick, hilarious, yes, but this feels different. This feels like it's actually a setup for something else. I'm holding out and hoping that it is, or perhaps it was just an in-joke for the crew. Either way, I'm going to fade away now, and I'll come back very soon and probably talk about Doctor Who. So until next time, be seeing you. A Villain in Venice, Jane of the Air, Book 1. A steampunk detective and aviatrix and part-time spy. Available now. All profits to the NHS.
That was the Tin Dog Podcast. Available on Spotify, iTunes, Acast, Stitcher and wherever good podcasts are found. Get early access to content by subscribing to the Tin Dog Podcast YouTube channel. You can support the show at patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on Twitter at Tin Dog Podcast or email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. All of the things discussed are the intellectual property of others. No infringement is intended. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.